On Tech News Today, both Facebook's Internet.org and Pinterest open their doors to third-party developers. And the U.S. Justice Department opens an investigation into the government's use of flying dirt boxes. We'll explain everything on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Monday, May 4th, 2015. This episode is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, and other Apple products are worth at Gazelle.com. And by NatureBox. NatureBox ships tasty and guilt-free snacks right to your door. With over 100 flavors to choose from, like pistachio power clusters and Big Island pineapple, you'll never get bored of snacking again. Try NatureBox at naturebox.com/twit. That's naturebox.com/twit. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. My name is Mike Elgan. Lindsay Turrentine is off today, so let's jump right into the top story. After being criticized in India for violating net neutrality, Facebook opened up its Internet.org platform to other developers and websites today. Nivedita Bhattacharjee is a correspondent for Reuters and joins us now from India, where it's very, very late, and we appreciate her coming on. Welcome to you, Nivedita.
Hey guys, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Now, before we get into Zuckerberg's announcement, can you tell us briefly about the net neutrality controversy with Internet.org in India?
Well, it's pretty much the same as that's going on in the US. I mean, in this world of Facebook and Twitter, it's very hard to keep barriers within countries. So people in India know, like especially the millennials in India, know what's going on in the US. They know what the fear is. They know their fears that, how net hampering net neutrality could kind of, upset their usage of internet. And when that happens, there's a leading telecom carrier in India that's called Bharti Airtel. They came up with a proposal of Airtel Zero, in which they basically said that they're going to have a package in which you could use certain popular apps in India for no charge. And the telecoms carrier would basically bear the cost. And there was huge uproar, and people took Twitter and Facebook by storm, saying this is the first step towards violating net neutrality. Now, mind you, nobody really knows whether this telecoms carrier was going to do it, but it was just the premonition that this is the first step. And then, people kind of thought that if Airtel Zero is going to do it, hey, it's the same thing that Internet.org is based on. So who's to say they're not going to violate it?
Right. So what is Zuckerberg's solution here? What is he proposing now?
Well, Zuckerberg has, gone public in his Facebook post, and then he wrote a column for an opinion piece for an Indian newspaper, in which he says that he believes in a free internet. And he makes a clear distinction, saying Internet.org is about bringing internet and basic, technology, basic internet connection to those millions of people in emerging countries who cannot afford data connections. And he says very publicly that Internet.org is not going to violate net neutrality. No, Internet.org is not going to, tamper with speeds and download speeds of some apps versus others. But of course, there's a lot of cynicism against that in India right now. A lot of people are saying, but hey, that's what all big corporates say. But can you guarantee us that's not going to happen? And that is the start of the conflict.
Now, if assuming that he does what he says he's going to do, and that is really open this up, and of course, Internet.org has to approve the companies that participate in this, but a whole bunch of companies have already abandoned Internet.org within India because of the net neutrality controversy. If Zuckerberg does what he says he's going to do you think that they'll come back and rejoin the effort?
Right now it's a toss-up. I mean, there's a lot of speculation going on about it. You talk to some of these companies. India's biggest e-commerce website, it's called Flipkart. They walked out after this entire, net neutrality thing kind of, took on Twitter and Facebook. And a lot of media houses that had partnered with leading Indian media houses that had partnered with internet.org, saying they can, kind of give news and information to people who cannot for free. They all walked out because these guys are thinking, we don't want to be a part of this debate at all. We don't want our customers to think that we do not back a free internet. And right now, it's frankly a toss-up. Nobody knows. The big houses have not come out to say that they are going to come back. But internet.org was in India. Chris was in India till yesterday, I think. I'm not sure whether he's still in India. And he's saying he's talking to people, and there's a lot of interest, and there might even be other telecoms carriers who are coming on. But really, nothing is concrete right now, so nobody knows. But from what people think, till internet.org is able to, kind of absolutely convince people that it is not about violating net neutrality, which I think there's a lot of confusion about right now in this country. These leading companies have not come back yet.
Yeah, that's it, and it's probably a good idea for people to be skeptical of the goals and aims of these companies who really just want to maximize their users and make a lot of money. That's why they exist, and so you can't blame them for trying. But it's good that India's keeping an eye on the public's keeping an eye on this and so on. Nivedita, where in India are you based right now?
I am based in Mumbai.
Okay.
But right now I'm in Bangalore, which is kind of the tech hub of the country.
Yes, it's the Silicon Valley of India. I've been to Bangalore. I've been to Mumbai before on business. My wife has been to Bangalore on business. The only time either one of us has ever been to India. Anyway, I really appreciate you staying up this late and taking time out from your evening to join us and explain this issue. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too. Nivedita Bhattacharjee is at Reuters.com, and you can follow her on Twitter at Tweets from NIVI, all strung together, no spaces. More news in a sec, but let's talk about Gazelle. Gazelle wants to buy your used gadget, and they also want to sell you another gadget. Gazelle is just the best thing going. You got to try Gazelle, because if you have something like this, this old thing? You got to pay for it, and these things are expensive, a little too expensive if you ask me, but you got to raise money, and if you've got an old device sitting around, well, there you go. That's money in the bank. All you do is you go to Gazelle.com, and you find the device that you have that you'd like to sell. You go into the sort of iOS category, you go into the Android category, or you can even sell an Apple laptop or even an iPod. But anyway, you find the device. It's very easy to do, very self-explanatory. And you basically indicate the condition, and they'll give you a price. And that price will blow your mind, because they always pay more than you think you're going to get for it. Certainly more than you would get by trying to sell it on your own. Never a good idea. Sell it to Gazelle. They'll send you a box, you throw it in the box, and off it goes, and then you get paid very, very fast. Now, if you want to buy a device, this is like the best idea going, because if you have a budget like we all do, you're saying, okay, you know what? I've got $500 to spend on a new device. If you go to the store, if you go to your local carrier or anywhere else to get a brand new phone, that $500 is going to buy you less phone than you can get on Gazelle, because a pre-owned device from Gazelle, which is, if you get one in the certified like new category, it's going to be exactly like a brand new phone, but just less expensive. You get a better device for the same money. Certified good devices show some general signs of wear, but they offer even better prices. And all the devices have been put through a rigorous 30-point inspection to make sure that they work great. And they're all backed by a 30-day risk-free return policy. That's right. You don't risk anything by buying from Gazelle. You can use it for 3-4 weeks. And if you change your mind, decide you don't want it, send it back, and they'll give you a full refund. There's zero risk at all. So buy your devices from Gazelle, sell your devices to Gazelle. Always turn to Gazelle when you're in the process of moving on up. So find out what your iPhone's worth. Take a minute and go to Gazelle.com to find out. And we thank Gazelle for their support of Tech News Today, and I thank Gazelle for paying so much for my old devices, frankly. All right, well, the boxing match over the weekend between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao was heavily streamed over Twitter's Periscope and also Meerkat. Twitter CEO Dick Costolo tweeted that Twitter was the real winner of the fight. HBO and Showtime, which sold the event on a pay-per-view basis, is unlikely to be happy about Dick Costolo's bragging or this new trend. Andrew Wallenstein is the editor-in-chief of Variety Digital and joins us now. Hey, Andrew, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing great, thanks. Now, why is Dick Costolo rubbing HBO's and Showtime's nose in the fact that Periscope users are stealing content?
Well, I highly doubt that that was his intention. I think what his intent was to show how incredible the usage was of Periscope that night by people who weren't necessarily streaming the fight. But when you think about just the sheer volume of people who were doing just that, and essentially copyright infringement, you have to wonder why he didn't perhaps, tread a little sensitively in being so triumphant.
Yeah, you do have to wonder that. And, did this really take money away from the HBOs? And, does this kind of thing, I guess is the bigger question, really take eyeballs and money away from companies like HBO and Showtime that charge for these sorts of things? I mean, are the people who are watching this thing on a really low-resolution, shaky, low-quality screen really doing that instead of paying for the pay-per-view version?
It is debatable. You could argue that those who did this kind of Periscope streaming never had any intention of paying $100 for pay-per-view in the first place. However, I will tell you, as someone who did watch this via Periscope, because frankly, as a journalist, I need to understand what kind of media consumption was going on, I think people are underestimating how good a picture this was and how good the sound was. Clearly not at the level of whether you were paying $100 and getting it on your, huge TV screen. But, I think for a lot of different kinds of television, this kind of illegal streaming is going to be just fine for viewers who aren't willing to pay, not just for pay-per-view, but really for anyone who's outside of the pay TV system. And that should have rights holders who are paying billions of dollars for sports content in particular concerned.
Yeah, it should. And of course, some people were just pointing their phones at the TV and streaming what was on their TV. Other people were at the event and periscoping and meerkatting from their seats. And all of it was pretty low quality. But how about something like popcorn time? Isn't popcorn time the real threat that they should be concerned about?
Let's put this all in context here. I think, and again, we haven't seen any numbers yet, so I'm taking an educated guess, that the kind of piracy that comes through live streaming really isn't at the level of what you might be seeing through Popcorn Time or other torrent-based programs. But, it's just this live streaming is probably going to open a whole new front in what is already a war that shows no signs of abating.
Everybody's talking about this today, but of course we haven't heard from HBO or Showtime. Do you think they have a basis for a lawsuit against Twitter or Meerkat?
I've heard in the reporting that I've done of no legal action at this time. I can tell you, though, that these companies, these rights holders, were not happy about what occurred. We should also point out, though, this isn't the first time that it's happened. Even though Periscope and Meerkat are relatively new, just a few weeks ago, the very same company, HBO, was issuing takedown notices when the season premiere of Game of Thrones started popping up on Periscope and Meerkat. So this isn't a new problem, and this isn't a problem that's going away anytime soon either.
And of course, HBO itself used Periscope to promote the fight before it happened, so they know that they know the power of live streaming. Now, do you have a sense, Andrew, of what it might take theoretically? Let's say Twitter and Meerkat wanted to play ball with HBO and Showtime, or forced by the courts or whatever, but in any event that they wanted to prevent this kind of streaming. I mean, this is something that happens peer-to-peer. What sort of technology or what sort of methodology exists to prevent live events like this from being live streamed?
Well, the thing is that even for live streaming technology, there are tools available to have the kind of removal of copyright infringement that you might see already on YouTube with its Content ID system. The problem is Periscope and Meerkat haven't implemented those tools yet. I would imagine, unless they are looking for, the legal nightmare of all time, that you're going to see those tools come online. Now, will they be perfect? I don't know. But this is such a new area. And you could bet anyone who's a rights holder is going to be looking for these live streaming companies to do the right thing.
Well, I'm not a big boxing fan, but I got to tell you that if they were to lash a smartphone to the foreheads of the fighters and live stream that, I would watch that. That would be really cool. I wish they would do something like that. Andrew Wallenstein is at Variety.com, and you can follow him on Twitter at @Wallenstein. Thanks for joining us today, Andrew.
Thanks, Mike. Take care.
All right, take care. Well, Cisco announced today that Senior VP Chuck Robbins will take over the CEO job from John Chambers, who held the position for 20 years. Andrew Nusca is a senior editor at Fortune and joins us to talk about this. Hey, Andrew, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing great, thanks. Now, what do we know about this Chuck Robbins character?
Well, we know that he is a senior level executive, right? Of course. He stepped into that role a few years ago, and he runs the sales organization largely. So he sits on the moneymaker. We're used to raising executives in this position, and it makes complete sense that he would take it. What's really interesting, though, is that we were expecting another executive to take John Chambers' place, a guy named Rob Lloyd. Who is the president of Cisco. And so there's a little bit of controversy in this.
Is Rob Lloyd, and does he have an engineering background?
I don't know. I'm not actually as familiar with his career, but this has been a long process. The board made it very clear in the announcement today that they have been taking many months, more than a year, to replace John Chambers, and who wouldn't? I mean, he's been in that position for so long. So a surprise at this juncture.
Yeah, I've heard 16 months that it took them to fill this position. Now, what kind of legacy did John Chambers leave? How is he regarded within the company and also within the industry?
I mean, John Chambers is kind of on his own level for obvious reasons. He's been there so long, and that's so atypical for a tech CEO, right? I mean, 20 years, that's enormous. That's been through the original dot-com bubble. As far as his legacy is concerned, it's a little bit of a split, right? He had an amazing run early on, took the company to great heights. But, in his last decade, his more recent decade, the company's stock hasn't really gone anywhere. And I think it's trading just about at $30 right now, largely the same as it was 11 years ago.
That's amazing. Now, what are the main challenges that Robbins faces over the next few years? I mean, he's actually entering into a pretty difficult time because of global competition. But what do you think his top priorities are going to be over the next couple of years?
Well, I think the big challenge, as you would with any legacy tech company, and it's crazy to think about Cisco as a legacy tech company these days, is he has to take a very, very large company that's made a lot of money in a certain area of business and move it forward into new areas of business and new revenue streams. Just like IBM, just like Oracle, these companies are really good at making money in a certain spot and not so good at finding new places to do that. Cisco's tried. John Chambers has tried a lot of different things, and he's made a lot of acquisitions, a ton, to try to find that next big thing, but they're still making most of their money from the old business.
Really interesting. I used to live in a town called Los Gatos in southern Silicon Valley, and we used to walk around the various neighborhoods, and there was this gigantic house. I mean, just the most beautiful, huge house. And around the holidays, they had the coolest Christmas display I've ever seen. It's a bigger than life-size Grinch that stole Christmas theme with like everything in that cartoon, like created in 3D. Wow. And just lit up, just the most amazing thing. And I would ask around the neighborhood, what's the deal with these people? And they're like, Cisco money. They got in on the Cisco IPO, and a lot of people got really rich on that one. That was one of the early IPOs, and yeah, quite an amazing thing. And Cisco, of course, has a huge presence in the Valley. Andrew Nusca is at Fortune.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Editorialiste. It's like Editorialiste. What is that? French? Italian?
Editorialiste.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Andrew.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Well, the U.S. Justice Department says they're planning to reveal more about the government's use of phone tracking technology, often called a stingray, according to a report in the Wall Street Journal. The so-called IMSI catchers enable agencies to scan thousands of phones all at the same time, looking for the locations of phones thought to be owned by suspects. The DOJ also says they've launched an investigation into about how law enforcement agencies use the technology. The federal agencies that rely on these devices include the FBI, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. And the rules for using them are not consistent between agencies. That's right. The agencies are making up their own rules as they go along, and they disagree or differ between the agencies. And I think the U.S. Justice Department wants to have a single policy for the U.S. government. Now, we reported on this type of technology before. They're sometimes used on airplanes. That's right. They actually will get these devices, bolt them to a Cessna, and fly over major metropolitan areas scanning for phones, scanning all the phone numbers in the area. When they do that, they're called a dirt box. That's right, a dirt box. The government is using a dirt box to scan your phone. Other names include, as I said, Stingray, but also Hailstorm. These are amazing devices, and this is just one of the many types of law enforcement surveillance or scanning technologies that have been put into use sort of behind the scenes, beyond the awareness of the general public. And so it looks like the DOJ is finally going to look into it and find out what the heck is really actually going on with this technology. Well, we got some sad news over the weekend. We learned on Saturday that SurveyMonkey CEO Dave Goldberg died suddenly Friday night. Goldberg was a major presence in Silicon Valley. He joined Capitol Records shortly after college and personally convinced the label to sell music on CDs. That's where he kind of started his career. He also founded Launch Media in 1994. That was acquired by Yahoo later on, and then he worked for Yahoo for a while. And he was also known for being married to Facebook Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg. In fact, his death was announced by Mark Zuckerberg himself on his Facebook page. Well, after the magazine Der Spiegel reported that Germany's BND intelligence agency illegally helped the NSA spy on European governments and companies, the German government is launching an official but preliminary investigation into all of that. So that should be really interesting. And the NSA is just the gift that keeps on giving us news people, I tell you. It's just amazing. Well, in product update news, Meerkat added Facebook support over the weekend. The live streaming service now enables users to post notifications about stream sessions on Facebook and no longer just Twitter. The new version also enables you to log into Meerkat using your Facebook ID and also use contacts from Facebook to build followers. Meerkat is in direct competition with Periscope, which is owned by Twitter, and Twitter has made moves to cut Meerkat off from accessing social media connections on Twitter. So the update makes a whole lot of sense, actually. Pinterest is opening up a little to developers. The company is releasing a development platform that will enable developers to access user data for use by third-party applications. They have to be whitelisted by Pinterest first, however. Developers can sign up for the inclusion on that whitelist starting today. Pinterest had previously offered APIs, but mainly for marketers, not for software developers. We're going to wrap it up in just a sec, but first, let's talk about our second sponsor today, which is NatureBox. NatureBox is a fantastic thing. We scarf these things down around here. That's why we all look so darn good all the time here at Twit, because we eat healthy, and we eat healthy because we snack healthy. Well, maybe not Jason. Jason, I don't know about, are you a NatureBox fan, Jason?
Yes, I am. I love it.
All right, so
it's great. But are you saying I don't snack healthy?
No, you snack healthy if you eat NatureBox. but I've seen some of the pictures. You like the red meat, man. So anyway, back to NatureBox. NatureBox. A lot of people, if you want to snack healthy and you want to be healthy, the best thing you can eat when you snack is food. Most of the junk food snacks that people normally snack on, that's not real food. NatureBox is real food. And really interesting food as well. You can choose from over 100 healthy and what they call crave-worthy options. I think that's accurate. And they'll deliver it right to your door. And that's really the most important thing. You don't want to have junk food in your house, ever. Take all your junk food in your house, throw it in the trash because that's what it is. Sign up for NatureBox and always have healthy snacks in your house so that when you get hungry and you want a snack, you're eating healthy food. And let me tell you, this is delicious food, too. Jalapeno white cheddar popcorn, great stuff. Carrot strawberry fruit chews, sea salt pops, easy to eat. And they have so many different flavors. They're really innovative flavors, and you really got to try these. And what you do is you get a box, you try them. If there's some you might like, some you might not like. Some people like salty snacks. Some people like, sugary snack, sweet snacks. Some people like different types of snacks, spicy. You can choose whichever kinds you like. And then next time they'll send you new ones, plus the ones you really liked the first time. So over time, you're always both discovering new snacks, and you're also getting those snacks that you just found that you can't live without. So right now, if you go to naturebox.com/twit, you can get a trial of their favorite snacks delivered right to your door. What are you waiting for? Go to naturebox.com/twit and start your trial today. And we thank NatureBox for their support of Tech News Today. And remember that if you've got a kid in college or you've got somebody who you'd like to eat better, get them as a gift a NatureBox subscription, and you will improve their health and make them happy because they'll be eating delicious snacks all the time, and they're really going to appreciate it. Well, our TNT fan of the day is Tim Wells of Marietta, Ohio, who posted this picture on Twitter. He was watching Tech News Today on a plane on his way to San Francisco, and guess what? He's going to be in the Brick House tomorrow to watch the show live. Very, very cool, Tim Wells, and we'll see you here tomorrow, Tim, and you can take another picture and post it again tomorrow. Why not? It's free country. Well, how do you watch or listen to Tech News Today? We want to know. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup and post it on Google+, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Just use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT so we can find it. You can subscribe to Tech News Today on your favorite podcast app. You can also watch us live every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC at live.twit.tv, or on the app or browser plugin of your choice. If you're ever in the San Francisco Bay Area, be like Tim Wells and come on in and watch us as part of our studio audience. Just send email to tickets@twit.tv before you come in. If you'd like to help us grow our audience, here's how you can do it. Post a link to twit.tv/TNT on the social media site of your choice. Tag 3 friends you think might like the show, and recommend them to subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Tech News Today TV, and you can follow me on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/mike.elgan. Also, don't miss Tech News Tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific every single weeknight, and that is the Tech News Today. This show is produced by Jason Cleanthes and edited by Anthony Nielsen. My name's Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.